Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 233, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And we have another wonderful topic-based show here for you on this New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve Day, isn't it?
This is New Year's Eve, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it isn't right now, but it will be.
Oh, that's true.
And I know you will be playing this podcast while you are embracing the new millennium. I mean, no, 2021. Oh, boy.
Yeah, the new decade, I guess.
Well, I guess it would be the new decade, right? Because
you start on
starts
one.
with ones. Yeah, but anyway... this time we went over Spider-Man last time, and we kind of went over kind of our personal histories with Spider-Man and how we were introduced to the character. And I kept thinking about how our friend group really took to James Bond and wanting to watch like the movies and explore his books and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to take an episode to kind of talk about the character. Now, the character was, of course, first in basically like pulp novels, right? They weren't like highbrow novels or anything like that. They're very much a pulpy spy fiction.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. I've never actually read any of them.
But by Ian Fleming, and I always thought it was interesting because like he did stuff like come up with his own drink recipes like for the character and things like that, like to give him some personality. He created the Vesper Martini, which admittedly he didn't like. Like Ian Fleming himself did not like. He just kind of wanted the character to have a moment where everybody was paying attention to him. So like he was making up a bar recipe on the fly to tell the bartender to make him. So believe it or not, I'm really into cocktail making and all that kind of stuff, and I actually just prefer a regular martini. But the James Bond way, shaken but not stirred, not the right way. That. He is telling them to make it the way it would normally not be made. That's why. That's why he says it. Yeah, that's why he says it. It is more watered down that way, and it's supposed to be a potent drink. Martini is a potent drink, but apparently Ian Fleming just liked it shaken instead because it's more watered down. There are people out there that say it bruises the gin or vodka, I guess, but that's horse pucky. It's just more watered down. So and it doesn't derive much character from it. So that's the reasoning behind that. But it started with Casino Royale, and what's kind of funny about this is like when they first started doing the James Bond movies with Sean Connery, they didn't start with his first novel, and I'm not sure.
Not at all. Dr. No.
Yeah, Dr. No. I've actually never seen. Maybe you can talk a bit about it.
Yeah, I have seen it. Although I will point out, technically the first Bond movie was Casino Royale, but it was not the Sean Connery one. It was like a parody. From the 60s. Yeah,
it's with Woody Allen in it,
Woody
right?
Allen,
yeah.
David Nivens, yeah.
And Orson Welles as Le Chiffre.
Yeah, that was pretty great. You know what I liked about that movie? You know how there's that really uncomfortable scene in the book and in the Daniel Craig movie where Bond gets tortured, where they cut out the bottom of a chair and have him sit on it so they can like hit him in the balls from underneath the chair? Yeah. What's really entertaining in the 60s parody movie is that they capture Bond and they sit him in the chair and the bottom like falls out and he kind of like falls a bit through it and they're just like, oh yeah, sorry about that chair's broken, like our bad. It's like, really?
That's a joke for only people that have read the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, yeah, that's true, because none of the movies existed.
Yeah.
Like, either you read the book or you didn't. So if you didn't read the book, you're like, Well, that was a little weird. And like with me, at this point, I've seen the new movie, so I'm like, I know what that's a reference to. But I never would have gotten that in the 60s.
It's probably the most brutal torture scene that, like, you always think of James Bond being, like, tortured, like, on a conveyor belt, or, you know, like, he's about to be...
Well, yeah, he never actually gets tortured. He's going to be horribly killed, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah, like, emasculated by a laser or whatever, you know, like, things like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually
like
touch
radial saw or whatever, but he always gets away, right? But in that first novel, he is, and it's just like the Daniel Craig version.
Yeah, and the Craig movie.
He is just straight up, like, brutalized by Le Chiffre.
Yeah, and in the 60s movie, they did have torture, but it was weird. It was like mental torture. It was like weird 60s psychedelic images he can't handle.
It's basically like Clockwork Orange or whatever, but
it wasn't. It was just weirdness. It was like
psychedelia.
Just a bunch of weird shit flying at you. It's like the Willy Wonka boat ride. You're just like, what?
The chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah, maybe not that far.
But yeah, like in the book, I believe it's a carpet beater that they take to him, and
in the new movie, I think they just tie up a rope.
It's just a rope, but
that's all you need.
He's just, and he makes a point of it in the Daniel Craig movie to be like, you know, there are a lot of people that make this really complicated. You don't really need to make this complicated to make you feel the worst pain ever. And he's right.
Yeah, and that might have been a wink at previous movies.
Exactly.
Because I will say, even the older Bond movies sometimes winked at the books. I would not have understood this if not for our friend Perry. But you would ask me to talk about Dr. No. There's actually one cute little example. You know what Bond's signature weapon is?
Yeah, it's the PPK, right?
That's correct. But that was not the
9mm, yeah.
Yeah, that was not the case in the books. In the books, it was some kind of Beretta. And what was really interesting is that apparently someone had written some fan letter to Ian Fleming. It was like some gun expert. And he was like, for the purpose of somebody like Bond who was a spy and he'd be interacting with these kinds of people and working in these situations, a Beretta wouldn't be practical for a guy like that. It would actually be more like a PPK. So there's a scene in the first Bond movie where I don't even know if Q existed yet. It was just like the weapons guy.
Yeah, so like a lot of starts to a lot of series, like a lot of the tropes hadn't been invented yet. So like the Q branch doesn't come around. It doesn't come around until I think the next movie.
So they had some guy like Bond's like, well, time to get my gun, and then they have some weapons guy who actually the name of the character was the name of the guy who wrote in the fan letter. And he's like, actually, I'm going to be issuing this PPK instead. And
Walter, like, it was a Walter PPK.
Yeah, Walter PPK. Yeah, and so Bond takes the gun and he's like, God damn it. And then he, that's his gun through the movies now. Like, it's a cute little wink like that. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, so, like, I've never seen Dr. No, so, like, how would you... this is kind of like like a mad scientist? Is that who Dr. No is?
Yeah,
like,
it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. It's been a very long time since I've seen the movie. I don't remember much, but I remember I think he wanted some sort of nuclear device or whatever, whereas what Perry told me from the books is he was gathering like a ton of like, I think it was like bird shit and fertilizer to like ultimately come to like a similar conclusion, but it would seem lame from if you're watching a movie. You're like, this is what the villain's doing, so they made it a little more bombastic.
The first villain, Le Chiffre, is just a gambler who lost all of his money that really needs it back or else he'll get killed.
Well, that's what I find fascinating about the villain of Casino Royale is that he's afraid of someone else coming to kill him that Bond himself has nothing at all to do with.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, Bond must get Le Chiffre, but Le Chiffre must get this money for these guys that he owes money to. And
the bigger guys, Yeah,
and then in the movie, Bond kills those guys, like, incidentally, because they're in the way to him getting to Le Chiffre, but they would have tried to stop Bond anyway because they want Le Chiffre. So that was like a happy coincidence.
Yeah, what's also kind of funny is I kind of want to point out that this is not one of those things where, like, if you go back to it, you'll kind of see like the brilliance of like the original work. Like with like a lot of novels, like there's something lost in translation when it goes to the movies. It's actually kind of the other way around.
The entire plot.
Yeah. Like I was just gonna say, the movies are actually more detailed than a lot of the books, because of the nature of them.
But some of them really take liberties. Did you see Octopussy?
No, but what I'm specifically saying is, like, Casino Royale is a great movie in general, and also one of the top 5 Bond movies for most Bond fans. Like, it's
people
really,
were nervous
really
about Blonde Bond, but that movie kicked ass.
It's really good. It might be my favorite, and
it's way up there.
I really like Skyfall too, so that's fucking up there.
For me, it's like in no particular order: Casino Royale, Goldfinger, GoldenEye, GoldenEye.
Yeah, GoldenEye.
Even the Man with the Golden Gun. I got a thing for the Gold movies. They're very good.
And Skyfall is amazing. I don't know.
Skyfall's very good. I would put Casino Royale above Skyfall, but Skyfall's very good.
I agree. But Skyfall's just it just had a good villain. Most all it really needs is a good villain most of the time. But anyway.
Yeah, but no, actually, one thing I wanted to mention really quickly about Octopussy, because it's kind of a mostly forgettable movie. That's the movie where there's a woman who's named Octopussy, and like the movie concludes with Bond's like having to disguise himself as a clown to sneak into a circus because there's a bomb somewhere. He's got to defuse the bomb in full clown gear. Meanwhile, Perry told me what the premise of the book was. It's unrecognizable if you look at the movie. Basically, like
Moonraker's like that too. It's like completely different.
Yeah, they all have to take the success of like Star Wars and Space Odyssey. But in Octopussy, the basic premise of the story is that some villain learns that Bond is coming to get him, and he's like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck," and like that's not even close to what the movie did. So like, how did you even come to this conclusion?
But
if you learn Bond is coming for you, that's scary indeed.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like a almost like I guess that's what like Golgo 13 is like based off of stuff like that, because
oh my god, he's even scarier because
he's basically Japanese
killer
James
who will
Bond.
just get the job done, but Golgo 13 is just like the Terminator. He's unstoppable. There's a scene in one of the Golgo 13, I think the movie, where somebody like his target gets ready to, I forgot if it was even him or her, but the target gets ready to kill themselves, and they like jump off a building, and before they hit the ground, Golgo 13 snipes them in the head so he gets
the kill. So he can get the
so he gets the kill. It's like, wow.
So he gets the
even
credit.
When you try to kill yourself, you can't escape being killed. It's incredible.
He doesn't get his commission.
Yeah, you wouldn't get credit. You wouldn't get the points.
But Golgo 13 is actually like silly, so silly. Like,
he fucks everyone.
Like, I read you that like dossier page about like his sexual habits, and it is like very much sounds like it was written by a 13-year-old that just discovered sex. Like
that's what I saw like as a meme I saw as a meme online a long time ago about the old school Pokemon Pokedex. Like it was written by a 5-year-old. Like, Charizard's fire breath is hotter than the sun. Okay, I guess that's right. I'll put it in my official document. It's like, what the hell is this?
Like, Golgo 13 is never completely at rest. Even during sex, he's watching for people trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, he can maintain an erection whenever he wants.
It's so get the fuck out.
Like, fuck you. Like, why am I reading this? But it's so earnest. Like it wants you to think he's a badass, but you just
cool.
It's so absurd. It has the opposite effect. But anyway,
well, it's like some parts of Hokuto no Ken. It's ultra violent. It's badass, but there are some points where you're like, dude, really? Where he like splits like a mountain in half with his karate. I was like, okay, all right.
I'm 34 and I'm enjoying this.
I still enjoy it, but for the wrong reason. Somebody smashes a boulder on his head, the boulder just breaks. You're like, oh, okay.
But yeah, what I kind of wanted to get at was that the Casino Royale movie is like the much better,
the one that people have actually seen.
Is a much better, like the Daniel Craig one.
Yeah,
it is a much better version of that story than even the book is. Is what I was getting at. The book tells a simplistic story, and Vesper is not doesn't have much of a personality. And
that's actually something I was going to bring up about the books, is that, like...
women are just, like, dressing in the books, really, honestly.
The books are very, like... Well, I don't know. I've never read the books, so I don't know about very sexist, but at least sexist.
They are, absolutely.
And from what Perry has told me, like, overtly racist.
Oh yeah.
Like
very much so. Even in Casino Royale.
In Goldfinger.
Even in Casino Royale, there's quite a bit about just, you know, like, going down to, like, southern states and stuff like that, and talking to, like, it's just...
Well, even in Dr. No, like, Dr. No captures Bond, and then he, like, dresses him up in that traditional, I think it was, like traditional, like, formal Chinese dress.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, isn't he supposed to be his Chinese stereotype?
Well, I'm not even going into the Chinese stereotype stuff. I'm going into, like, Perry told me that in the book, when Bond's wearing that stuff, he's like, what the fuck is this? This is so ridiculous. And it's just like, come on, did you have to write that shit in there?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. Or, like, the open, like, weird, we don't understand how Asian people work, like the racism against, like, Koreans and Goldfinger.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't touch any of that shit.
Yeah. But it's very, very obviously, like, a post-war kind of...
No shit. I will say the movie Goldfinger has some scenes, like, some sexist scenes that... I can't even say they don't age well. Like, they were like, are you kidding me? Like, even back then. But, other than that, the movie's very good.
Yeah. That's probably the best of the Sean Connery movies, right?
It's spectacular, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, by the way, speaking of references to books, do you happen to know what Goldfinger's big master plan was in the book?
No, I don't. Was it melting the gold instead of irradiating? I don't even know if it went
that far. I think it was. Well, we'll get to that. But in the book, it was just rob Fort Knox.
Okay.
And the movie directly addresses this, because Goldfinger tells Bond his big master plan. It's like, we're gonna go and raid Fort Knox, and the movie directly addresses why that's a stupid idea. Like, Bond was like, well, assuming there's this much gold in there, it would weigh this many tons, it would take this many men, this many trucks, and this many hours.
They tried it in Die Hard 3. It was very difficult. Or something similar.
Yeah, like, Bond was like, this is, like, the stupidest plan ever. And Goldfinger, at that point, goes into the movie version of the plot. And he's like, who said anything about stealing it? And Bond's like, well, now I'm confused. And so Goldfinger's like, I'm going to irradiate the gold, like you said, Vice, to make it utterly useless to the people who own it, because it'll be untouchable for decades, and my own gold will exponentially, like, explode in value because, like,
it'll be in demand.
I have it,
yeah,
and it's not irradiated. And Bond's like, oh shit, that's actually, you know what, real good. And you know, I remember at one
for a long time it was considered the most realistic Bond villain plot.
I was just gonna mention that. Yeah, of all, like, someone had made one of those, like, top lists or whatever. Like, of all the Bond villains' plans, which one of them is the most realistic and most like thing a villain might actually want
doable
to try? And it was Goldfinger.
Yeah,
this is like a 1963 movie.
Well, I think that was, like, also supposed to cue you into, he's like, this is a hell of a villain because he's super smart and practical. Like,
and he's also not even the fighter. Like, he has his, like, superpowered henchmen, which became very popular in later Bond movies. Like, this was Odd Job, but there was also Jaws in the later ones. And even the guy in the previous movie, I never remember the name, From Russia with Love. That guy was a not Odd Job. He was an Odd Job who could talk. He didn't have, like, the crazy hat, but he was just, like, this very powerful guy. Like, Perry had told me in both that book and in Goldfinger the book, like, Bond eyes those respective villains, and he was just like, there is no way I could take these guys in a fight. Like, it is not happening. And, like, it never came to that in From Russia with Love, at least the movie version. But in Goldfinger, Odd Job is, like, impervious to all forms of damage. That shit was crazy. Like, Bond opens, like, well, the first thing Odd Job does is just let Bond take a few swings at his face, and he just smiles at him. Then Bond picks up a gold bar and throws it at him, and it just bounces off, which is, like, the scariest thing in the entire movie. Like, oh my fucking god. Like, I don't know what you do with this guy. It was amazing.
So, what's kind of funny is, we've talked about this in the past, is, like, Bond is such a character that he's not much of a spy, like, in most of the movies.
In the Connery movies, he is, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I think those movies were really boring. When I first saw Dr. No, it was on TV when I was in high school or something. I couldn't finish it. But when we were rewatching the movies, like, because we were watching the movies with Perry, like, in order from the beginning.
You can feel the tension of
well, that's what it was. I was like inwardly cringing because I'm like, well, we got to start with Dr. No. Fuck. But like, it turned out that the scenes that I thought were boring were the actual spy scenes. Like, there are scenes where he goes into a hotel room, for example, and he spends minutes just slowly exploring the room and checking for bugs. Like, he takes the bathroom mirror off the wall, looks behind it. It's a lot of stuff like that. They make it a little cuter. I think it might have been Goldfinger, where he sees a camera in the mirror and a woman's looking at it from the other side, so he just takes it as shaving cream and sprays the mirror, and the woman looking through it is like, what? Like, but in Dr. No, you didn't get that. He's just looking around, and it's very slow and deliberate. I appreciate it now, but I couldn't tolerate it back when I was in high school.
What I think is really funny is later on, like, when you get to Roger Moore territory, like,
it's full camp.
Well, not only that, but, like, you cease to be a spy when people know exactly who you fucking are.
Yeah, James Bond, your reputation precedes you. Like, you're not supposed to have a reputation.
You're supposed to be a no-man. You're supposed to be, a ghost. Like somebody who appears or should appear to be working on your side.
Or at the very least, you use a fake name.
Infiltrate you, yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of funny when you think about it. You're like, is he really just using these gigantic munitions as well? Like he like missiles and stuff. And
like same goes for Pierce Brosnan. He's like an action hero.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another reason I was bored with Dr. No. Is my first Bond experience was the Pierce Brosnan movies.
Yeah,
and then I went back to Dr. No, and he's actually being a spy, and I'm like, where's the crazy car chases? They're not happening.
Yeah, so like I kind of wanted to make a point of that when we were talking, but so it's kind of cool that when you go back to Dr. No, it feels kind of refreshing that way, because it's like it's stripped down and
it's not a big like Die Another Day like space lasers shooting at you. It's like it's a guy who wants to make a bomb. He's gathering resources to make a bomb.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like It's like, I watch a lot of Red Letter Media videos, and they were talking about, like, when the MCU was really starting to get big.
Sure.
And when, I think it was, like, it might have been The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield when that came out.
Sure.
And one of the guys in Red Letter Media, Rich, was talking about Spider-Man, and he's like, actually, no, this was, well, he mentioned this back in the Amazing Spider-Man review, but he called back to it in... What was it? Which movie had the Vulture? Homecoming?
Homecoming, yep.
Yeah, he mentioned like how refreshing it was that the villain of Homecoming was basically like a high-level thief. Because like Spider-Man's villains aren't trying to blow shit up. They aren't the Avengers where like if this laser
never
goes
a world-ending
off, the portal to the other
Spider-Man.
world is going to open up. Yeah, Spider-Man's villains, as Rich Evans said, his villains rob banks.
Yeah.
Like Electro... He's a guy with electric powers who robs banks. The Sandman, he's got sand powers. He's real hard to fight.
It's like Batman's. Very similar to Batman's, his rogues gallery, right?
Yeah, some villains become far more reaching because you can't write the same story for decades and decades. But yeah, at first it's like the Penguin's a weird bird-obsessed guy who robs banks.
And museums, like they rob museums, things like that. Yeah.
Talk shit about Batman and Robin all you want, and it's well deserved, but like the idea that Mr. Freeze is robbing like the Diamond Museum, you're like, you know what? All right.
Yeah.
That scene was stupid, but the premise was good.
I don't know, like the Batman '89, that has a cool premise that I don't think was really explored in the comics, like the Joker trying to like politically like take over Gotham is actually like a really smart idea.
And it's the first big Batman movie.
Yeah, but like that hadn't really even been done in the comics. Like I don't think there's any serious attempt by the Joker to do something that dastardly. But that's something.
And then in Batman Returns, the Penguin actually does it.
Yeah.
He pulls it off. He gets voted in.
You know what? I never made that connection that they both have politically driven goals.
I had forgotten that the Joker was doing it. It just didn't click in my brain, the fact that there was actual context for why he had the big parade with the floats and everything.
No, he was trying to get everybody out and love him, and also poison them.
Yes,
because he's
that's
he's
very
a serial
on brand
killer.
even today.
Yeah, but he also wants people, like, he's throwing out money so people love him, but also he wants to kill them.
Yep. Well, that was just like in oh no, The Dark Knight Returns, and the I think it might have been redone in the animated version. Like, I think that was Under the Red Hood or something. But even though it's the Dark Knight Returns story, where he's on Letterman or Conan, depending on the medium, and he's just on TV.
The Joker, yeah.
The Joker. He's just on TV.
No,
he's
that
on
was
Letterman or Conan doing an interview, but then he gasses the entire audience.
That was done in the Dark Knight Returns, yeah.
That was the Dark Knight Returns comics. It might have been Under the Red Hood,
but there's
the animated version.
There's an animated version of that too.
When he's with Conan.
There's an animated version of the Dark Knight Returns now.
So maybe it is just that then.
But he was on Letterman.
He was voiced by like John DiMaggio.
He was on Letterman in the comics, I think.
Yeah, because that was contemporary.
Yeah,
it's just like how Iron Man was in South Korea in the comic in Iron Man #1, and he's in like Iraq in the movie, because South Korea, it's like, why was he in what? It wouldn't make political sense at the
time. During the Korean War, yeah.
Yeah, Korean War is kind of over.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Juggernaut. I found the Jewel of Sidorak when I was in Korea. Like, what?
Why were you in Korea?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Back to Bond, though.
Yeah. We always get sidetracked, which is part of the fun. But I kind of wanted to take I just wanted you to comment on also, like, your favorite era of Bond films. Like, I still really like, out of all the ones I've seen, I still like the Daniel Craig perspective the best.
Daniel Craig, it's a mixed bag. Casino Royale has the chance of being my favorite Bond movie, but his movies are kind of inconsistent.
Quantum of Solace and Spectre are not that great.
Yeah, they're kind of duds. Skyfall was a big step back.
No Time to Die looks great, though.
It does.
Yeah.
I might go. Oof. I might, like, this might be nostalgia glasses talking, but I might go with Pierce Brosnan, even though Die Another Day was like hot garbage.
I was gonna say only the first two are worth anything. I mean, GoldenEye's an actual good movie. The
GoldenEye's great. Tomorrow
Never Dies is decent.
I like. I mean, I know GoldenEye is clearly way better, but I like Tomorrow Never Dies quite a bit. I actually legitimately enjoy that movie. And The World Is Not Enough. I like that one too.
I don't like The World Is Not Enough.
I know it's still a step down. But I like The World Is Not Enough. Die Another Day is like.
I guess Christmas comes twice this year.
Yeah. What a line.
I saw that in the theater. Everybody in the audience was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, "Oh shit!"
Well, my big eye rolling moment was the title drop. Like, I could give you the world. The world is not enough. All right, even though he
says the name, he says the movie.
I didn't realize this until years later, but apparently, like, his family crest or family motto is "The world is not enough."
Oh, okay.
Like, you could have done something with that, but never mind. But the Connery era is quality, but you have to know what you're getting into. It's not.
Does he have any straight up bad movies?
What was it?
Thunderball's a bad movie, right? The fourth one.
I don't care for Thunderball. It's just kind of dull. And the funny thing is, he actually reprised his role in the not Albert Broccoli movie. What is it? Oh, what is it? It's a remake of Thunderball. Never Say Never Again.
Yeah, that's like the unofficial
Apparently
movie.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But he did come back for another official one after George Lazenby, which is kind of funny. He did come back for Diamonds Are Forever after On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Diamonds Are Forever had Mr. Wick and Mr. Kid, and those guys are great. Actually, that's one thing I should mention.
Is that a good movie, Diamonds Are Forever?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
That's actually one thing I should mention is Austin Powers references James Bond all the time.
All the time.
I mean,
yeah.
duh, it's a parody. But a lot of what it references are the Connery era stuff.
A lot of more stuff, too. There's a lot of more stuff
There is a bunch, but
yeah.
the big climax where Dr. Evil's in the hazmat suit preparing the drill, that was a reference to, I think Dr. No, actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's an alternate ending scene where Austin Powers escapes the self-destructing lab, on a raft. Like, oh, we sure got into that one.
Yeah,
that's also Dr. No.
Yeah.
The scene where, where it's like, we finally beat the bad guys. What a relief. And then a catering service comes in, but oh no, it's the Odd Job parody Random Task, and he lifts the lid for the food, and his weapon is underneath. That was Diamonds Are Forever. Mr. Kidd and Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wick come in, and they actually have food, but one of them, I forgot who's Wick and who's Kidd, one of them grabs, I think, like a knife or something, and the other guy takes the flaming kebabs and is wielding those, and it's like, one more fight. There's a bunch of stuff like that. It's pretty great.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to go through the earlier movies, because obviously I've seen all the Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig movies, because that was my era. That's when I was growing up. Yep. But I've never seen the Timothy Dalton movies, and they're being reprised now as kind of better than they were originally received as by a lot of people.
View to a Kill?
He's Living Daylights and License to Kill.
License to Kill, excuse me. Oh yeah, View to a Kill was the one. Wasn't that with Christopher Walken as the villain?
Yeah. That is the final Roger Moore.
One. I don't think Perry and I made it up to the Dalton era.
So, Roger Moore era is the goofiest era, and that.
Intentionally so. It's not that comes off as goofy. No, it's camp, because I think they were trying to cater to a bit of a younger audience. So Jaws is legitimately scary when you first meet him, and the next time you meet him, it's it's definitely toned down a lot.
So yeah, probably Live and Let Die is the best one there, which is the first Roger Moore one, and it also has the best theme song, one of the best theme songs,
with Paul McCartney from the Beatles. I mean, the Wings.
Wings, yeah. But the Man with the Golden Gun, nobody talks about that one.
I love that one.
Really? You love you love that one?
I love that one. It's Christopher Lee is the villain.
Oh. Is he
are you kidding me?
Count
Scaramanga. And he's got the guy who played I never saw the show, but my dad always mentions it because it was a thing when he was younger. But the guy named Tattoo from Fantasy Island,
yeah.
Who would say, the plane. I've never even seen a clip of him doing that. I'm just going off of my dad. But he was Scaramanga's helper guy, and it's great because how in the video game on the N64 the golden gun is a one shot, one kill.
Sure, because that's what he does in the movie, right? Basically,
kind of. I don't think the gun's any better than any other.
No, he's just a deadly foe.
He's sick. Yeah, because his thing is he duels with somebody, but he sends them off into a crazy weird funhouse where everything's confusing. But when he sends Bond,
also it's bad to make a gun out of gold because it'll get distorted because.
Don't worry,
heat.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
There's a reason why we make guns out of steel.
he sends Bond off with his fully loaded gun. I think he had 6 bullets, and he only has 1 bullet in his gun. And Bond's like, "You only have 1 bullet? I don't need one." You're like, "Oh shit!" In the opening scene of the movie, Bond isn't even in it. Which is a rarity, because how there's usually some bombastic opening where Bond escapes something or whatever. This is a Scaramanga opening, where you see some guy, you don't know who he is, and he's going against Scaramanga in his crazy funhouse, but you don't understand that context yet. And Scaramanga takes the guy out, and then he's just like, oh man, can't wait for James Bond to come over, that sure is going to be entertaining. And then he there's a mannequin behind him that looks like Bond. He quickly whips around, does a 180, and fires 4 shots and takes off all 4 of the mannequin's fingers, and you're like, oh shit. This guy's no joke. It's very entertaining.
Well, I guess what I should say is that most of these ones got so goofy that they have the famous View to a Kill ending where he fills up the bad guy with air
No, I think that might have been Live or Let Die.
Live or Let Die.
I could be wrong about this. It's been a while, but that was stupid. Golden Gun, though, I think might have still been Bond. Oh, that was stupid. It might have still been Connery.
No, it's Roger Moore.
Roger Moore was Golden Gun. No kidding.
Yeah, it Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and View to a Kill.
Yeah, Moonraker and Octopussy were like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Moonraker is straight up goofy.
Space lasers.
You can watch that just because it's so goofy, it's entertaining.
Yeah, you can. There is entertainment to be had. There really is.
Also, that's where like a lot of the like Austin Powers 2 stuff comes from Moonraker. So like even like the backgrounds.
Yeah, that is true. I always forget about
like
that
the
with
sets.
Austin Powers 2.
Yeah.
I always forget about that because Austin Powers 2, like, I still like the movie, but...
It's not nearly as good as the first one, but it's still great.
My problem with 2 and 3 is that they parody Bond a lot less and instead start referring to previous Austin Powers jokes.
Yeah.
So I kind of, like, forgot that it was still doing Bond jokes. Like,
yeah, the third one just, like, disappears up its own ass.
The third one, it, like, alludes to being, like, a Goldfinger nod, but it doesn't really...
Barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen barely any of these ones. I just remember the most iconic scene to me in the Roger Moore movies is when he's trying to profile the bad guy by like facial features on the computer. I forget which one that is. But like that was very iconic to me, and he's pointing out like that he has octagonal glasses, which is the first time I ever heard the word octagonal.
No, you know what I liked quite a bit, actually? Have you ever seen the first appearance of Jaws where he starts attacking Bond when he's in the truck?
No. That should be
shit
terrifying,
is
right?
Scary. Like, look it up. Like, he's like biting the truck, and he's also strong without his teeth. He's like grabbing the truck and like very like slightly lifting the rear tires off the ground so he can't drive away. He finally manages to gun the gas and get out of Jaws' clutches, but Jaws is still gripping the truck, so he like rips off part of the paneling on the side. You're like, come on! Like, what's a nightmare?
Well, I think we have to end this segment because we have to move on to fan stuff. But like,
perhaps we'll pursue more of the new stuff and the games later.
Yeah, we have to talk about the games, and we also have to talk about the animated series that's related to
James Bond Jr.
Yeah, James Bond Jr.
I never saw that. I just know that the villain is not Spectre or Smersh. It's like some...
It's like Scum or something.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's some incredibly 80s thing where they just take a word and then think of what the words that stand for it are later.
No.
We're a member of Vile. What does the V stand for? I'll get back to you.
And sometimes, like, the V stands for Vile.
Mathematical. The M stands for mathematical.
Mathematical subtonum, something like that.
You're not remembering the shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Septonin. Alright, so anyway...
we haven't even gotten to the video games, really. We only kind of alluded to them, so, like, I really want to get back to...
Where Oddjob is house rule banned.
Yeah, because I mean, we have to talk about GoldenEye at least, because, like, it's such an iconic game, so we need to give it its due.
Yeah, but we could bounce over to some comments and our question.
Great.
So for comments, School Filmer says, the indie world was quite entertaining. I look forward to playing Spelunky and its sequel one day. And another thing, it seems I got a Christmas present from the librarians. It pays off to have good bonds with them. And here's hoping everyone has had a safe and happy holiday. And then School Filmer also posted, I got nothing on this week's topics this week either. So here's a little more about what I did this week. I finished Paw Paw Paw, and it was alright. Not the best. Not the worst. Sometimes the difficulty spikes are quite noticeable. I get it, I have no one to play with, and the soundtrack didn't feel right for the setting of the game. Otherwise, it's fine. I got Yooka-Laylee, and I do enjoy it so far, even if the camera's a bit iffy. Then again, I have tangled with worse cameras than that. I do quite enjoy the theme of worlds within books, after all. Yeah. Have you considered watching The Page Master with Macaulay Culkin?
That's like the last movie he did before a big hiatus.
What was his name in that? Richard Tyler.
Yeah, he very clearly was 15 or 16, but playing a 12-year-old. It was one of those deals. It was more like he was 14 playing a 10-year-old or something like that. Yeah, he was way too old. to be playing what he was doing. Yeah.
And yes, I know Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is also on sale, 60% off. I'm getting that next. I did enjoy what they did with Sephiroth and Smash, with an event where if you beat him, you could play as him early. I managed to beat him once on very hard, and trust me, I was so close to the edge of my seat that the chair had become irrelevant at that point.
Yeah, he's actually very difficult. Even on normal, he was pretty hard.
Huh. You may ask, where was the hard mode? It had easy, normal, and very hard. Answer, yes. Hooray! 2 Mr. Torrid references in one. I will take your word on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Baka-sensei has 3 comments. Here we go. I know Cyberpunk 2077 was more like Cyberpunk 2020 for the best and worst.
Yuck.
But I believe it's just the latest failed game by a big AAA games company. Gamers or media tends to forget too fast nowadays. I'm not condemning or justifying CDPR. I could list more games that were good and failed, like Lawbreakers and Boss Key, which finished them. Good FPS with gravity physics. It ran great, but there was no players. Battleborn from Gearbox, so close to Overwatch it burned it. Crucible by Amazon, nope, no experience. Daikatana by the legend John Romero. Others that were messed up from launch day, Batman Arkham Knight PC, that was. Mass Effect Andromeda by BioWare. Lotus mentioned some games I also wanted to mention. But for me, the big thing was misleading gamers and giving wrong info on how it was at launch, like No Man's Sky, Fallout 76, Watch Dogs, even Fortnite, which were on time, were updated. They added content or keep it as like life of service. The only games that come close to all the press, lies, and bad management was Driver. Reflections,
Driver 3,
Driver Duke Nukem. That's
Drive
right, 3R, or Duke Nukem Forever by 3D Realms. That game was just very middling. The problem with it is that it kept getting scrapped and rebuilt with a new engine for like a decade. It's not a bad game. It's just like
it's also like
not worth the hype.
The anticipation leading up to it was just
it's just And then also, or even E.T. for the 2600. From what I hear, E.T. is playable. Like, you just need the manual, and without the manual, it becomes what you see on, like...
Yeah, it's still not a good game.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, which wasn't a good game either, but it was kind of similar.
Yeah. So the fascinating thing is that history repeats itself. I could do more, but the more I try to remember, the worst. Street Fighter V, that was just incomplete.
Yeah, it's a lot better now, obviously.
And then, so Baka-sensei also says, Spider-Man 94.
Yeah, the animated series, yeah.
Yeah, was the best show for me.
It was really great.
Unlike the X-Men and Batman, it was more relatable. It was like growing up with them. I also watched the other two, Spider-Man Unlimited and Spectacular Spider-Man, but those were a little convoluted for me at the time. Another World with Aliens on Unlimited and retelling on Spectacular.
Yeah.
Thanks to Linkara, I now understand the line of the maximum clonage, like Clone Saga.
Yeah.
When Ben Reilly explains what universe he comes from, the original's like, that sounds like a bad comic storyline. Yeah. Hope that everyone had a Merry Christmas or holidays, Hanukkah, sorry Lotus, I forgot about it, and wish you all a better 2021.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then one more comment. On the other topic, digital game libraries are bad. I could give you a few games I lost on the PS3. Me and a friend got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for training for a tournament, and after a year or so, it was pulled out for license issues. That's what I read in forums.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. Yeah, that's the most famous one, I think. I did purchase because I was a fan of the graphic novel. My friend lent me the first volume, and I was hooked. I even paid for the DLC, Knives, and a minigame, and again, it was pulled out and never returned. Until now.
Yeah, I can't wait for when that finally re-releases on modern platforms. I'm going to be very happy.
And then our last comment, Connor says, nothing much to contribute this week. Just want to wish Lotus and Vice, and Procophon, and Dracologist, and Pyro, and Old Man Stompy, and everybody else that's been on a podcast at one stage or another, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. And then, our question, Baka-sensei provided another question, which is now also our last one. The last one. Baka-sensei provided 2 last ones in a row.
Yeah. Keep us supplied, please.
Unfortunately, I don't think we can go far with this one. Is there any good movies or series to watch for Hanukkah?
Yeah, I think we kind of already addressed this, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm just curious, because the only one I know is the Sandler's animated movie, 8 Crazy Nights, and I agree the animation is good, but the jokes are not.
And I know that's it.
You mentioned the Hebrew Hammer, which
Hebrew Hammer is a much better movie, actually.
Yeah, and I genuinely cannot think of other Hanukkah-related movies or series. I read a book when I was a child, Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins. The illustrations were cool, but, I'm tapped out. That's it.
Yeah, no, the Hebrew Hammer was a direct-to-TV, Comedy Central movie with Adam Goldberg in it. Adam Goldberg, and it is quite fun. It's basically like the patron guy of Hanukkah has to save Santa, which is a pretty funny concept.
It's almost like the Nightmare Before Christmas, like the Halloween people just get involved with Santa. I mean, they have to save them from themselves, effectively, but
yeah, unfortunately, there aren't many Hanukkah themed like mass-produced things. Me and Lotus were having this discussion. Like the Adam Sandler stuff is basically the most prominent.
Like the thing a lot of people need to understand about Hanukkah is that
it's not a high holiday.
It's not Christmas for Jews. It's become Christmas for Jews because it coincidentally takes place kind of around the same time of year, but all the Christmas celebrating people get all these tons of presents, and the Jews are like, well, what about us? So presents are attached to it now, but they weren't. Hanukkah's actually a very minor holiday. So, like, where's the big Hanukkah holiday movie? Like, the only reason any of those exist is so the Jews can also have a holiday movie around Christmas time.
Yeah, to be included more like anything, yeah.
If Christmas didn't exist, then nobody would care about Hanukkah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for your big holidays, it's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Those
Purim is a big party holiday, but and Yom Kippur is... It's
a somber.
You don't celebrate Yom Kippur.
Yeah, it's a time for atonement and
you know how some
guilty.
sects of Christianity like confess their sins on Sundays. Like Yom Kippur is basically coming to terms with that, but like the one day in the year.
There's also Passover. I forgot about Passover.
Yeah, Passover is a big day of remembrance, and that is a celebration. But Yom Kippur, like, don't tell people Happy Yom Kippur. I mean, they appreciate the sentiment. They know you're not doing that on purpose, but like it's not a happy holiday. It's not supposed to be. Passover is a happy holiday. Rosh Hashanah is a happy holiday. It's Jewish New Year.
Yeah.
Purim, like I said before, is a big.
I don't know Purim.
Party holiday.
When does Purim happen?
I don't even fucking remember. The last time I paid attention to that was when I went to Hebrew
school.
Yeah,
but I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I've never even heard of that one.
It's a celebration of stopping like Hitler from BC era, like Haman.
Okay.
We got him. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, like even Hanukkah is a celebration of defending against like King Antiochus and his men. Okay.
Yeah.
The whole thing about like there was only enough oil for one day, but it lasted 8 days. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's not actually what the holiday is.
Yeah. It's more about like keeping the faith as you're about to be attacked, like that.
That's like every single Jewish anything. Yeah. It's like, oh, we didn't die this time. That's like Jews' entire history.
Well,
look at Passover. Oh, we didn't die this time.
I mean, justifiably.
No, I know, but that's every Jewish holiday. Like Christmas is like, hooray, Jesus was born. Every fucking Jewish holiday is like, we were almost genocided, but then weren't. Like that's every single fucking one.
Yeah, I mean, Christianity has Christmas and Easter. Those are like the big ones, right?
Yeah, and those are just straight up like, hooray, party time. Jews are like, party because we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, Easter has a somber lead up, because you have Good Friday, which is when the death happens, right?
That is Jesus. True. And, there is the lead up to Easter,
and you also have you also have like Fat Tuesday.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what Fat Tuesday is?
No.
Mardi Gras.
Okay.
Mardi Gras is the start of Lent. So
okay.
Lent is our somber. It's the I shouldn't even say our because I'm
yeah, I was gonna say like, but even the Christian somber holidays are not about them personally.
Yeah,
it's about their lore.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but
and even Christmas and Easter, like, they're Christian holidays now, but they were like appropriated from pagan like nature celebrations.
Yeah,
Jesus was born in what, like the spring or something?
That is correct. Yeah. But
I was confused at spring or summer, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes a lot of sense that there isn't like a ton of media too, because like I mean, comparatively speaking, what do you think the Jewish population of the country is? Like,
oh geez, I have no freaking idea.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's 10%, right?
Probably not, especially depending on the state you go to.
Yeah, I was also going to say there are certain areas of the country that have a high Jewish population, but that's it. You know, like you have New York and you have Florida and you have big centers in California as well.
Yeah, and then there. Yeah, I was just going
to say. And there's not much else.
You kind of beat me to it. There are like pockets
in
various locations.
Yeah. There's a lot in New Jersey because it's close to New York.
Yes. Yeah, and the population is very dense, so when you do find an area, there's going to be a lot of them.
And it's mostly in North Jersey because of New York.
Exactly.
In Philadelphia has a decent Jewish population, but not like New York.
Yeah.
You know, we have our Jewish Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia that's a fantastic curated museum, but
yeah, and even where we are in New Jersey, like if people aren't from around here necessarily, like my mom has talked to people who like literally do not comprehend like not celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
Where like my mom, like I don't mean like how can you not?
I was gonna say there are sections of the country that like where they haven't met a Jew. Or they barely know any.
My mom was working with someone who was like, yeah, I don't celebrate Christmas, like I'm Jewish, and they were like, well, but what do you put on the tree then? It's like, is this a fucking joke? Are you an idiot? You're an adult. Not everyone celebrates your fucking religion. Go to Japan, see how many people celebrate. I mean, a lot of people actually do, but you know what I mean.
Well, the thing is,
like, go to another country and ask them how Christian they are.
The thing is, like, I think they don't understand that a lot of the prominent holidays, some of the prominent holidays in America are just American holidays, which, like, you know, like Thanksgiving is celebrated by everyone. That is why
that's specifically like American. That's non-denominational.
Yeah, that's why everybody, except, you know, people that are abstaining for some reason or don't have the resources, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, you know what I find funny is Cinco de Mayo, I think, is celebrated more in the U.S. than it is in Mexico.
Well, because
it's for like one city in Mexico.
Well, Cinco de Mayo is not like the liberation from Spain, which is what everybody thinks it is. It's not. It
wasn't even related to Spain, I don't think.
No, it isn't. It's just Taco Tuesday for everybody else.
Yeah, right.
It's just, you know, Americans getting drunk on margaritas.
Like there is a very specific place in Mexico where like the history of the holiday actually makes sense, but Americans are just like, hooray, it's Mexican Day, like, and Mexicans are like, what?
But what I was trying to say is, like, Thanksgiving, yeah, like everybody celebrates that, like literally everybody, like of all types of people celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a national thing.
Everybody celebrates New Year's, but you may have an additional New Year's if you are of a different culture. So you might have Chinese New Year, or you know, Yom Kippur, like
Rosh
Hashanah. I'm sorry.
But even then, Jewish holidays follow the lunar calendar.
So that's similar to Chinese New Year, then, right?
Yeah, actually. So it's an evening thing. So it's like, I don't know, like depending, like I don't think you're gonna get off of school for the when the holidays kick in, because it's sundown.
Yeah.
Although I think you actually could get the next day off though, because you can take off.
Nobody's gonna argue with you for that.
Yeah.
It's especially like.
Well, depending on where you are in the country, some people might argue.
I was going to say in New Jersey they won't, and in my area they won't.
Like, The Simpsons actually made fun of that, where there's like this one kid tried getting off of school. He like made up a holiday. Like I never heard of this Yom Kippur. Like that's funny as hell to me.
What's funny is how ignorant you have to be to not know about that.
Well, depending where you are in the country, though.
But
when literally nobody talks about it, even here in New Jersey. Like, the teacher will be like, oh, it's Yom Kippur, some people might not be here, and the students will be like, oh, yeah. Like, nobody talks about it.
I find that heinous, though. You won't even know
it's there unless your teacher's Jewish and calls out.
I find that heinous, but I guess, I'm biased because, like, I know so many, I have so many Jewish friends in my personal life.
Who talks about Yom Kippur? Unless you have a Jewish friend who's like, oh, today's the day. Like, why would people bring it up?
Yeah, I guess, like, for a Christian, I have a large, like, Jewish friend base, like so.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unusual, but like to me, it's unfathomable. But yeah, like yeah. I get it. It might sound like a foreign thing that's celebrated in some other country to you, otherwise
that's kind of it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that, like, I was just talking to Lotus, like, before the podcast, like, we need to get a Hanukkah themed horror movie going, because, like, yes. there are
8 scary nights.
Yeah, dude. We have the beginnings, like every day he kills somebody or something,
Well, yeah, you know that vampire movie, like 30 Days a Night?
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
8 Nights of Night.
we got to make this happen. we got to make this happen. I don't have the lore down enough in order to make enough references. Like, the killer needs to make some references.
Call back to Herschel and the Hanukkah goblins. That's the best I got. The evil specter of King Antiochus. He's back. This time it's personal.
Yeah. What actually should be kind of relevatory for a lot of people is that a lot of famous Christmas songs were written by Jews. Almost all the big ones, in fact.
You know what that reminds me of is that the Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist. It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Actually, even
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was written by a Jew.
Even one of my aunts, she's like semi-regularly hired to play music at churches, because, like, why the hell not?
Sure.
She's Jewish. It's like, whatever. She can play the piano well.
Oh,
she's been a music teacher for decades.
Also, like, Jews were in show business back when a lot of those were coming out, and they still are. It's just one of those things. So, like, a lot of like studio musicians were Jewish. So it shouldn't be a surprise to you that a lot of the media that you consume is produced by Jewish people. It is.
Well, we all know Jews control the media.
It's
a conspiracy.
Oh God. Don't get me started on the ignorance behind that stuff.
Oh, look at me. I'm on YouTube. Oh my God.
You're one of them.
I mean, literally, yes.
But yeah, I was gonna say, like, if anything, it kind of stinks that there isn't anything directly geared toward it, and if it is, it's kind of as a reflection of Christmas. So that brings me back to my initial answer, though, is like, they're really, like, even though you feel like, well, where's my representation, but like, there really shouldn't be a Hanukkah it's not an equivalent.
Special.
It's not an equivalent. Their savior's birth is not being celebrated. With Hanukkah.
Yeah,
there's not an equivalent.
The best Jewish movie I could think of that talks about, like, their history that isn't even really a Jewish movie is probably going to be, like, The Prince of Egypt.
Oh yeah,
which is, like, incidentally.
But also that's more through a Christian lens than a Jewish one.
It's not a Jewish movie, but it's about, like, Moses and the Exodus.
It's kind of funny when stuff is portrayed as Old Testament, but kind of like it skirts around the fact that it's talking about Jews.
Well, yeah. I remember back in high school, or maybe even college, like, as a joke, we got one of our friends the Xbox, I think, 360 game, the Bible game.
Sure.
And we're like, what's
it's all Old Testament, so yeah.
That's what we realized. It's basically like a game show trivia thing, and it's 100% Old Testament. So I'm like, so you mean the Tanakh game? This isn't even a fucking Christian game, even though it pretends it is?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
how caught up are you on your Jewish lore?
There is a certain amount of respect when it comes to the New Testament, where almost any ancillary media is usually in Christianity is usually portraying stuff and, like, trivia questions and things like that from the Old Testament. It's kind of weird. Like, so, like, any like of the Wisdom Tree video games on the NES, for instance, are featuring characters such as Noah. Yeah, I was just gonna say they featured Noah and Methuselah and things like that.
Well, yeah, the NES game, I think you had a couple things to do, including Noah. You might have had, like, one of the other, like, Moses.
Yeah, Moses is collecting the animals and putting them on the
that's
ark.
Noah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There's baby... 3D
is obviously
There's baby Moses, you control his mother...
That's what it is. Yeah, there's like 3 stories or something.
Yeah.
But and then the Wolfenstein game is just Noah, like it has Noah in the title, so you can't screw that one up. But yeah. You know what the irony is, by the way? Those games were like not licensed.
Yeah.
So like like the religious company's trying to pull a fast one.
Well, I think the idea was that they were sold in Christian bookstores rather than regular stores. So like
but didn't
in
they
general
get, like,
public
Fallout
stores
for like pulling some shenanigans or something like that? And like it was only like a relatively recently that Super Noah's Ark 3D became available on Steam as that game that you remember.
Well, the funny story about that is that everybody back then thought it was a ripoff of Wolfenstein, but they're actually using licensed code. They actually licensed that code from id Software.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So actually, it was id Software getting back at Nintendo for heavily censoring their version of Wolfenstein 3D on the NES. So that was really the
Nazi imagery from the game, where the one thing about it is you're fighting Nazis.
The whole thing is about fighting Nazis. So like, yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? I've actually been playing Blood Rain recently, and the sequels are in modern times, but the first game is in World War II era. And what's funny is that the swastikas are changed to some other symbol that like alludes
why?
to them. But yeah, like you say the word Nazi out loud. There's pictures of Hitler. It's like, so what are you doing?
Like, I don't understand why Hitler is censored. I mean, especially in a bad way. When he's portrayed in a bad way.
The image of Hitler was not censored, and you specifically talk out loud about killing Nazis, but the swastika is not there. It's something else. It's weird to me.
I don't get it in modern times because like I'm thinking mainly about like Bionic Commando in particular, like the Bionic Commando series where you blow up Hitler's head. It literally explodes in front of you, and the explosion isn't censored. It's the fact that he's Hitler that's censored, which is hilarious to me. Hilarious. You see this big exploding, gruesome, like detailed head like exploding, and the fact that it's Hitler is the offensive part.
Yeah, it makes it comical.
Yeah, like you're supposed to be taking the piss out of his wind.
You realize he's the bad guy.
Yeah, right? yeah. The whole thing is that you're making him a cartoon character, so therefore he's less threatening. And that is a good thing. Making fun of terrible people is a great thing.
It's like it's not seeing the forest for the trees. It's like trying to like it's like when schools banned Huckleberry Finn because the N-word was in it, even though the entire point of the book is like learning to overcome racism and realize that racism is bad. And the only people that ever say it are like the racists, and not very frequently.
Yeah, exactly. And
Huck Finn's like, wait a minute, like Jim's like a real person. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's also supposed to realize that you can. He's racist without even thinking about it.
That's the whole thing. Yeah. Like in the very beginning of the book, Jim is like, "You got to help me get out of here, man. I think they're gonna like sell me away to somebody else, and it's like it's gonna be horrible. I need to get together with my family." And Huck Finn's very conflicted because on the one hand, Jim is his friend; he should help him escape.
Sure.
On the other hand, he is helping steal someone's property, and like the fact that he's even having this conflicting thought is a sign of the times. But he grows as a character across the book.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, so he doesn't even realize, like, he is allowing the culture of the times to dictate his morality rather than an actual thought. Like
there's a part I remember.
It's a normalized evil thing.
There's a part of the book I remember specifically because Huck is a very young kid.
Yeah,
like he's self-sufficient, but he's young. But
he's only self-sufficient because everybody in his life has neglected him.
Well, his dad is the town drunk, but like the thing is, there's a part way early in the book where he's like, well, yeah, I mean, Jim's pretty cool and all that. I mean, it's not like I'm not a low down dirty abolitionist or anything, and they never go anywhere past that. But I bet you he doesn't know what that word means.
Yeah,
I bet he's just heard it.
The
book doesn't pursue that, but I bet you he doesn't know what the hell that means.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's a normalized it's a normalized hatred, you know.
Yeah, it's like when you hear like your grandfather talking about pinkos. What the fuck is a pinko? Like you just hear about it and you're like, that's bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's like any other. Some people just think that's what you call them, you know, like
exactly. When that's all you hear, that's what you believe. Like, why would you believe anything different when everybody does it this way?
Yeah, they're not analyzing it; they just are taking it for granted, which is like the worst kind of racism. Actually, it's the worst.
Exactly.
It's the worst kind of racism because it's normalized. It's normalized racism,
and it goes right back to what I was saying. This isn't race, but it goes right back to what I was saying about Yom Kippur, when literally nobody ever talks about it. Why the hell should you know about it?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I would.
Do you know all the Indian holidays? I don't.
Oh,
I've heard of Diwali because it's like the super big bombastic.
I was gonna say I know Diwali because I have Indian neighbors and I also work with a significant number of Indian.
So like
Indian
they'll
people.
bring it up, but like if you live somewhere else, maybe not.
Yeah, well, again, I am in an unusual situation where I live in a diverse neighborhood, not even just like a diverse town. I live in a neighborhood, diverse neighborhood, working for one of the most diverse companies in the world. So like I you know, I have no choice but to be worldly. Or else like I'm gonna be I am at total fault if I'm not.
Yeah.
So but it's just kind of funny. But
so to answer your question, Baka Sensei, it's 8 Crazy Nights in the Hebrew Hammer.
Yep. And the Hanukkah song.
We ended right where we started with last week.
The Hanukkah song and dreidel. Dreidel. That's
Adam
it.
Sandler's Hanukkah song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thankfully we have the old version and the updated version of the Hanukkah song.
O.J. Simpson.
Still not a
Jew.
Gets you every time. It's.
I thought he might have changed, but I guess he didn't. Thank you, Adam Sandler.
That's like such a good line. Funny. It's such a good line.
Not a Jew. It's so funny.
What's funny is if he stuck to his songs and stuff, like and his like comedy act, he would be so much better than his goofy, terrible, generalized movies.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's not even a bad actor.
No,
it's just that all of his movies are like.
They're lazy.
Flimsy excuses to take. Well, no, literally, they're flimsy excuses for him to go on vacation with his friends. I think that's just been like explicitly made apparent. Like, he's a really cool guy to hang out with. I want to go to the Bahamas. Okay, he's in the Bahamas with his friends. How do I justify paying for this? So we'll make a movie. We're making a movie. So that's why the movies come out looking like shit. But like, he doesn't care.
Yeah,
he's hanging out with his friends. He's having a good time. If he actually like really wants to make a good movie, like
he does.
He's done it.
Yeah.
I legitimately like Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and Mr. Deeds. And he's done other stuff that I haven't seen that's been well liked, like Spangler. I don't know if that was an Adam Sandler movie, as opposed to a movie starring Adam Sandler. But
Punch Drunk Love is
Uncut Gems. Yeah. He's great in that, but like, and he didn't make that movie. He was in it, but like, yeah, it's because
he has Reign Over Me. That was one I think he produced. You know,
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, but a lot of people, you know, see that as a genuine attempt by him, and that's
even 8
good.
Crazy Nights like has legitimate passion behind it.
It just ruins itself. That's the problem.
His character arc is good. Yeah, but you have so many poop jokes, and you're like, come on.
If it weren't so embarrassing, it would be good. Like that's the problem.
There is a legitimately good movie in there.
If
you did like a fan cut of the movie,
if he edited that out,
good, like 40-minute movie,
and you know you have a legitimate movie that wasn't embarrassing to watch in front of your family, and the funny thing is he could be with that movie he could have like the classic movie for that holiday.
He really could have,
but he ruined it with such blue humor. Yeah, like he could have just straight up owned that entire holiday. It's so funny. But yeah, that's it. I mean,
there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, you know, but like it kind of isn't, you know, too. You know, like just like Lotus said, it's not a high holiday. It
was never supposed to be.
Yeah. It's just
that you get jealous when literally everybody around you is getting again, I'm using the word literal, a literal pile of presents, and you don't because that's not what your holiday.
Not only that, but you have an entire month, like a month and a half of themed around it, like entire stores and events happen around it. Like
yeah,
it ceases to be not just a holiday. It's like it's a whole section of the year that is framed by it. Like the music that plays on the radio, even Black Friday shopping is a and Cyber Monday are huge events that are meant to service Christmas. So like you're supposed to be buying items for gifts on those days. So and then you have the rest of the whole rest of the month leading up to it with and even Christmas Eve is a big deal to a lot of families. Like it is to me. That's when I have.
Well, that makes sense because that's when you actually get together with the families because you go to sleep and then wake up on Christmas.
Well, Christmas is for gift giving and for usually a smaller gathering with your nuclear family is usually when that happens. But with Christmas Eve, that's like when my big
the
family
holiday. Yeah,
is my big family holiday on my Italian side. We have our seven fishes. Normally, not this year, unfortunately, and it's literally my favorite day of the year. Normally, because we just have so much fun. So like, imagine having to try to compete with that, but not not participating in it. It's almost impossible. And
you can't not hear about it.
Yeah, and you kind of just have to go, yeah, it's Christmas.
Yeah, good for you.
Like I feel bad for you to some degree because you're just like, meh. I'm not even involved in this and I have to put up with it. It's just one of those things, Well, anyway, we do need more.
We're out of questions. That's the last one.
We need more questions.
Baka-sensei.
Yeah. We need or else Lotus is going to have to come up with one, and I don't know how the world will change after that. I don't know how it will be if Lotus has to come up with a question.
My question is going to be: why is this night different from all other nights?
It is not. It's not different at all, is it, Steve?
Little Jewish humor for you.
Oh, okay. Is that? Aren't you supposed to respond with something?
Yeah. Then someone's supposed to respond with why it is different from the other nights.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Why is it that normally we sit on a regular chair, but today we recline? Well, you see.
What do you sit on, but you don't take it with you? I mean, that's another
it's
Bond
a
reference.
word for your butt.
Fanny, chair. But we do. Or else he's just gonna break out like the riddle of the Sphinx, and I already know that one. It's
one of the most well-known riddles at this point.
Actually, I told that one at work, and nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. They tried to give me legitimate answers, they didn't actually. It's literally the most famous riddle in history, and people didn't know what it was.
It's from Greek mythology.
Like I said, it's literally the most famous riddle of all, and it has a definite answer.
Maybe you should have fallen back on the second most famous riddle of all. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
Woo! Woo!
I'm Batman.
Jim Carrey, what a fucking ham! Jesus Christ! My joygasm! Oh God! What happened?
Man, I forgot about that. Anyway, Happy New Year, everybody.
Let me read my script. I've since lost my place. That is the show for this week. Please, we want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions and comments. This was a lot of fun this week. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. We definitely need some. And give several, please. You do. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like Little Hope, getting in exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
All right, everybody, we'll catch you on Tuesday, and have a happy and safe New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye-bye.